author and sensitive New Age guy, Ren Alexander, believes we can turn our love lives around by simply knowing a person's sun sign, not star sign, sun sign. Would you please welcome an apparently highly sexed Capricorn, Ren Alexander. We're talking about sun signs.
Yeah, the sign of the zodiac that your sun's in, because there's also moon signs and your ascendant and every
and star signs.
sign.
It's all different.
Yep, yep.
Okay. Now, I'm a complete and utter sceptic, but I had great fun reading this book.
Yes. If you don't believe in astrology, it's still wonderful because it's everybody's interested in relationships. Everybody's interested, well, almost everybody's interested in sex. So you can have a lot of fun with this book, even if you don't believe in star signs.
Now, you're a Capricorn, and you're supposed to be serious, practical, reliable, and a goat. How come you wrote a book like this?
Well, this is a secret astrological knowledge, but actually Capricorn is the most highly sexed sign in terms of raw sexual drive, and they tend to get more sexual as they get older. So it's a bit of an arcane. But actually how it happened was interesting. I went for an astrological reading with the co-author, Geraldine, and I came in, and she'd only drawn up my chart, and she said, "Are you a writer?" And I said, "Oh, yes, I am." She said, "Good, because I think otherwise you'd be a drug addict." Oh. So it's so strongly in my chart to write. And then we got talking, and then the book emerged as a co-written thing.
Now, in the book it says that Capricorns are like the sexual athlete. Any Capricorns in the audience?
Any sexual athlete?
You sexual athletes, you?
You animals.
Does that sound right to you? You want to think about that for a moment, or what?
They don't like public exposure, so they're probably all going, well, I'm not going to confess to that.
All right, so if I was to seduce a Capricorn, what's the best way to do it?
Honesty and openness, but the key thing is that Capricorns always have a view to the long term, and they won't embrace short-term wildness if it's going to have a very bad effect on their career or the long-term life. So they want to make sure that happens, they want to know that you're like 100% emotionally stable, that there's no quirky things in your psyche, and that you're not going to blab to everybody about it. They don't want dramas in their relationships. They want their relationship to be a source of refuge for them.
Right. Now, throughout the book, I mean, you've got ways to seduce people, key tactics, no-nos and things like that. What's the no-no with the Capricorn?
Well, definitely public ridicule or criticising them in public. Very, very big no-nos. They'll go off you unbelievably like that. One of the big no-nos is never make a sexual... They're into contracts. They're into meeting their side of the contract. So if you say to a Capricorn, meet me here at such and such a time and we'll have a wild fling, and then you get a hangover the night before and you can't do it, they'll go off you forever. They'll never want to know you again.
All right, any Virgos in the audience? Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, stacks of Virgos.
Uh-oh. Because you don't have too many nice things to say about the Virgos.
I only have nice things to say about them. This is not true.
Well, no, that's not true. I mean, Virgos, the sign is of a virgin woman, but you say that they lack sexual spark.
The trouble...
No? You don't think so?
No. The interesting thing about Virgos is this. They seem to have a built-in desire to be good and pure and honest, which is wonderful. But if, as children, they receive messages from their parents that, like, you shouldn't be sexual because being sexual is not good, then they tend to take that on board, and it can become a bit of an effort with them then to become more sexual. But if they get over that, and especially in later life, they can become more and more sexual as they get on. And I've had 2 fantastic relationships with Virgo women, and I think Virgo people are wonderful people. My current girlfriend's a Virgo, and she's fantastic.
And did you use... Settle down. Did you use any of these techniques in here on your current girlfriend?
Absolutely, absolutely. I ended up... She has some fire in her chart, and I tried to do fiery seduction. It didn't work. I had to go back to the tried and proved Virgo seduction, which is saying, look, being very honest and saying, look, I'm really sexually attracted to you, and being honest and upfront, and then letting that sink into her psyche and come to terms with it, and then we proceeded from there at a later date.
Because I was reading through this on the weekend. There was a bunch of us around at our place, and one of the girls with us was a Virgo. And she was quite sort of disappointed at first, but then there's a lot of good things about them as well.
Fantastic people, yeah, Virgos.
What other star signs do we have in the audience? Gemini. Funny you should mention Gemini. Tracy's a Gemini. Oh. And I actually wrote down something that you say about Geminis. They have a veritable laboratory of sexual experiments. Would that be true, Tracy?
Yeah, that'd be right.
Geminis are fascinating because they're one of the most quickly aroused signs. They get quickly stimulated by almost anything, and they like to they like to know that their partner's very mentally quick, and so they tend to be turned on. I think I can say this. There's a line in the book which is very accurate, which is mental stimulation equals instant lubrication.
Oh no, no. So how would you seduce a Gemini?
Quickly. The absolute quickly. Don't muck around. This is it. If they're attracted to you, you've got to go bang. Don't think, oh, I must make it to the bedroom. If they're in the lounge room, go for it. Because by the time you get to the bedroom, they might have changed their minds. You know? Because they change their minds so often.
Does that sound right to all you Geminians?
No, yes, no, not yes.
Because you also say about Geminis that you don't, they're not interested in the long, drawn-out scenario.
Yeah, I've talked to a few Geminis who'll say, he said, I get bored. 1 minute I'm clawing my boyfriend's back with passion, the next minute I'm staring at the ceiling thinking, when's he going to be over? When's he going to I want to do something else.
All right, now let's talk about Taurians. I'm a Taurian. And I'll quote what you say about Taurians. Apparently I'm a veritable glutton for sex. Quantity, quality, and more quantity. And partners of Taurians will share bounteously in their love of the sensual pleasures, art, music, food, and sex.
Yep, I have a Taurus ascendant, I can relate to all of that.
Oh, I'm fabulous, therefore.
The downside of Taurians is they tend to be a little bit conservative. So if you can find one that you can get through that conservative barrier, then they can be really endurance. I'm not sure that they bring necessarily a lot of imagination to the bedroom, but in terms of sheer endurance and appetite, and it's sort of tough. They're a tough sign. They can keep going and they can do all sorts of hours and stuff. Yeah. But the key thing is that a way to a Taurus's sexual parts is through their stomach. See, they must be well fed. You can't seduce a hungry Taurian. It would have to be rape.
Oh, so you have to wait until they're sort of bloated.
Yes. So this is interesting. Like,
good look.
Taurians will have sex in a bloated, but Virgos can't. They sort of say, "Oh no, I'm full. I can't have sex. I'm full."
And the Taurians just go,
"Oh yeah,
go.
I'm full. Let's do it." Yeah.
Would you please thank Men Legs Around It? The book's called Seduction by the Stars.